Happy New Year and welcome to a new episode, a new year of Living News for 2026.
2026, and it's episode 24 for those that need to go back and have a look at previous episodes.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And that's Corinne.
Oh, yes, I forgot my name.
And I'm John. So for those that are new to this program, so welcome. And Corinne, often when on the show we say to people, if you've got something really interesting or that you don't like us to highlight or someone for us to interview and so forth. And this episode is specifically somebody said, "Oh, you got to get this guy on."
Wow.
This doctor, and so we investigated.
Yeah.
We contacted this doctor, and we'll talk to him a bit more later. But it is because somebody took the effort, told us about this person, and so we're bringing them on tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny, for following up on that. As you probably don't know, but Johnny is the one that is very involved in getting our special guests, and it is a fantastic program tonight. You do not want to miss it. I guarantee you that this program, you would be sharing that more than probably any other program that we've had, because we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of people can relate to. Stay tuned, share it afterwards, because it could actually make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, and also don't forget that you can communicate to us directly tonight if you're watching live. You can communicate via Facebook or YouTube. And if you've got a question for us or for the doctor, please send the question through. We can't guarantee that we'll get to every question, but if we can, we'll try to get to your question.
Absolutely. And we've always said in every episode, we love interaction with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we know that the subject that we're talking about, the recipe that we're putting out there, if that is something that you like to see more of, let us know, or any of the other comments, so we know that you're watching and you're enjoying the show.
The other thing too, we can't forget, Corinne, that not everyone watches this live.
Yeah.
And there are many people that watch the episode afterwards, like tomorrow or during the week or even a month or so down the track.
Yeah.
So we may not be able to communicate to them, but if they have a question and they need to correspond with us, they can send us a message, and we'll still get those messages afterwards. Or depends on what the issue is, whether they need to speak to their local doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way you always say we have viewers from all around the world. I love that. As we do this program because we are really passionate about bringing good news to people. When you look around, when you're putting the news on these days, and for a while, there's no news, no good news, especially in Victoria where we live. But having such positive things presented on this program, I just love to be part of it, because it's just bringing life, living news as we call it.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Okay, Corinne. Let's get started, because we have our guests waiting to join us. So we just got a little introduction that we want to share with you that will help you as you watch this to really simply understand what we're going to talk about.
Sure.
One of the most rewarding experiences for me has been to study brain science and apply it to the experience of parenting. And the hand model of the brain that I use to teach parents is very useful to understand that. So if you take your thumb and put it in the middle of your palm, put your fingers over the top, this is a very useful model of the brain. And when we can actually see in front of us what's going on in the brain, then we can change what the brain does. So let me walk you through very basically what happens in this brain and the structures in it. And it goes like this. The spinal cord comes up, representing the wrist, and then you have coming up into the skull, the brain stem and the limbic area, which work together to help regulate arousal and your emotions and the way you have a fight, flight, freeze response. These are below the cortex, the limbic and brainstem areas, and the cortex is this higher part of the brain that allows us to perceive the outside world, to think and reason. And this frontmost part of the brain, right behind your forehead, so the person's oriented like this, is actually the part that regulates the subcortical, limbic, and brainstem areas. This regulation is very important because sometimes we can have all sorts of things happen in our life. We're tired, we're exhausted, someone pushes a particular emotional button, and we can flip our lids. So rather than being tuned in and connected and balanced and flexible, we can lose all of that flexibility, even lose moral reasoning, and act in ways that are terrifying to others, including our children. Now, you can actually bring yourself back online and come back to the high road and make a repair with your child, and that's important to explain it to them. And you can also use this hand model of the brain to explain to children, even as young as 5 and 6, how to understand when their emotions are rising up from the brainstem and limbic areas here, and how it's overriding the prefrontal area and making it so they may be about to flip their lids. So I've had kids come tell me that they're about to go flip their lids and they need a break. They need a timeout. And by even just naming that, they can tame it. And that's the power of using the hand model for ourselves and our children to help us all make sense of what goes on in the emotional communication that we have in the course of day-to-day life.
Fantastic.
Hi folks, well, welcome back. We've got our guest that's now joined us in the studio and would like to welcome Dr. Horatio Selagea.
Horatio.
Horatio Selagea. So thank you for joining us, Doctor. And it's a real pleasure to have you with us tonight because it's such an important subject, especially today in society when people are really struggling. And you'd see a lot more than this than what we do. But so that's why we're really keen to have you join us today. So thank you very much.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, by the way, folks, Dr. Horatio is the founder of Christian Mental Health Support Group. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on and what that's about and how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Horatio, Corinne, did you want to say anything first?
No, I think you did
a
great
great
job.
I'm always digging straight forward.
I think we just dig. You just go and listen to what you
Yeah.
have to say.
So, first of all, why mental health?
Well, mental health, unfortunately, as you were saying, John, is a very common problem.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it seems to be getting worse and worse as time passes. As I guess we have more stress in society, more family breakdown, more secularism, and we know that spirituality is a protective factor. So we, unfortunately, I will always have plenty of work. I'm not afraid of unemployment because in mental health there's a big demand.
Unfortunately,
and we know that, for instance, almost 1 in 2 people will battle mental illness at some stage in their life.
50%,
45%, the exact statistics,
45%.
and 20%, 1 in 5 will battle mental illness every year. So 20% of us, if you look at our church, for instance, 1 in 5 this year will struggle with depression or anxiety or substance use or one of these mental conditions that I deal with in my clinical practice.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
When Dr. Horatio is talking about his clinical practice, we forgot to mention that you are a child and adolescent psychiatrist. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we all psychiatrists first to train in general psychiatry, and then some of us decide to super specialize in something like drug and alcohol or all-day psychiatry. I chose child and adolescent psychiatry because I found it very rewarding working with young people.
Yes.
Can be a bit of a mentor. You can teach them some skills. You help them in their teenager years and they might not come back, versus a lot of adults or elderly patients, quite often the mental health difficulties are so entrenched that the outcomes are not as optimistic. But child and adolescent psychiatry, I find it very optimistic and very energizing as a field of work.
Absolutely. You're changing the track of their future. That is rewarding indeed.
So just in relation to your, I'll hit that straight up, is this Christian Mental Health Support Group that you started. That was during COVID. Why did you start that? And what? Tell us a little bit about what's been happening with it.
Yeah, so basically it kind of happened because of COVID. Initially we wanted to do something else. A friend of mine, a therapist, and I wanted to do some therapy or some intervention for the survivors of the very bad season of bushfires, 2019, 2020. And then 2020, COVID hit, and there was no outreach, nothing. And we said, can we do something online? And that's when we said, let's start this private Facebook group for people who have struggled mental illness and have a spiritual interest as well, to combine spirituality and mental health. And that's what I thought can be one of the themes for our discussion today. What's the role of spirituality and how we can combine mental health and spirituality. And the group has been going from strength to strength. We're now at 915 members.
Wow.
That's
So
very
in 5 years, 6 years, we built up quite a following. And basically, we post content every day, encouraging material, mental health materials. We have a prayer group where people who struggle can ask for
I love that.
prayer warriors from our group to pray for them. And it's this community. We have a chat where everybody can participate. So it's like a community of Christian believers, basically, who support each other in their day-to-day, I guess.
We've actually got a link that we can share with our viewers at this stage. There, it says Christian Mental Health Support Group. There's a Facebook page there. And so if you can't, you probably won't have time to write all that down now, but later on, you can go back on YouTube or Facebook and just see and get that link and
or just search for Christian Mental Health Support Group.
Oh, yep, that's another way.
And you'll find it. We're the only ones with this title there.
Yeah.
I have to say, Dr. Horatio, I find it very, very encouraging that people are talking about it. Because before it was like, if you have a bit of anxiety, if you have a bit of depression, maybe it's a lack of faith, which is not true, by the way.
Yes.
So I am just so glad that there is that in place, because 1 in 2 people, when you think about that, that could be someone sitting next to you and you don't even know. So what is something that we're looking at? Say, for instance, that we know someone actually might need a little bit of help.
So I really like that you went there, Corinne, because that's something that a lot of conservative churches, like Adventist churches, for instance, struggle with. We tend to be ultra-conservative and tend to find mental health, psychology, psychiatry a bit spooky. There's something ungodly there. Don't go there. They are doing this hocus pocus with you.
Not true.
This is complete nonsense. Psychiatry and mental health is just a branch of medical science, like cardiology or gastroenterology. We're very evidence-based. Treatments are very similar to other specialties like medicine, talk therapy. There are other interventions. So it's a very serious branch of medicine. First of all, there's nothing weird or bad about that. I met, and this is one of the burdens of my heart, meeting people in church who are told, don't go and see psychologists because, and they're missing out on therapeutic intervention, which can be life-saving or can improve their quality of life.
And I think we're talking about that, talking about spirituality, and you're talking about in the church as well, how people can get ill. And there's a bit of a stigma that sometimes people think that, if they're a Christian, they can't suffer depression. What do you say about that?
So it's very much related to what Corinne said. So first of all, there's the lack of awareness, understanding that mental health is a condition, is a disorder of the brain. It's not just weakness of character, let's say. And there's a lot of stigma, and less stigma in developed countries like Australia, more stigma. I'm originally from Romania. A lot of stigma there if you say that you have depression or anxiety, so people kind of hide it, which is terrible, because then they don't seek help. And what I want to say is that, first of all, mental illness is not a weakness. It's just a condition. And second is, each and every one of us, if enough stress or pressure is pushing us down, pressing on us, we can break down. And I'm wondering if I can refer to one of my slides.
Yeah, sure.
Not this one. This is the beginning of the slides. Let's see. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if we can scroll to the beginning of my slideshow. Thanks so much. All right. So this slide, brain versus muscle. What I want to say in this slide is that the brain is just like any organ.
Yeah.
If too much pressure is happening on the brain is going to collapse. So for the muscle, what happens if you lift up too many heavy things, you start
Strain your
getting
muscle.
a bit sore.
Yeah.
And if you keep pushing that even more, you're going to get a muscle tear.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with the brain. If more
Mhm.
stress, so in the case of the brain, I guess the main stressors or kind of exercise the brain does is dealing with difficult situations,
Mm-hmm.
deciding, self-control. All these things take a toll on the brain. If enough pressure is put on the brain will start struggling. You're going to have what we call early warning signs. You're not
Yeah.
going to sleep well, become a bit irritable. When it comes to work, we talk about burnout. So burnout is kind of one of these early warning signs that you're struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't get any help, if you don't change what you're doing, then you're going to crash into a full-blown clinical disorder like depression or anxiety, on and on. So what I want to say is we all have our limits. For instance, they did research for the soldiers who went in the war in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Some were more resilient, lasted longer. Some got unwell with depression or post-traumatic stress disorder right away. But we know that nobody lasted more than like 8 months on the trench without getting post-traumatic stress disorder. So there's the limit beyond which we all crash.
Yeah.
So but some of us are a bit more resilient than others, of course.
I have mentioned this on our program in the past, but I haven't mentioned this to you. You know, when I was talking, and that's why I thought it was interesting about this Christians and the stigma and things like that. About 5 years ago, I actually suffered and I was one of the church leaders, a head elder of the church, and because of a medical illness, I actually ended up suffering clinical depression, and praise the Lord, got through it through the End Up program, the Neil Nedley program, did that, and that really helped me a lot. But you know, even somebody that's got a lot of responsibility in the church can still suffer depression, anxiety, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, because if anybody out there is, you know, they're saying they're Christian and they're suffering a bit of depression, it's nothing to be ashamed about. Just get help, and
Very good point, and that's something that I was really hoping we can cover. And thank you for making yourself vulnerable, John, and sharing about that. Wonder if we can go back to my slides. I just want to share another slide, which I think is important for our viewers to see. It's the next slide. I'm not sure why the clicker doesn't seem to advance. This one,
yes,
or even better, the following one. I think the following one is even better. This one. So this shows 4 domains. So, and that's kind of, these are what constitutes a human being. Not sure why we lost the slide.
So we're looking for the one with the circle in the middle, and then the 4
circle and the 4 domains.
The one before that.
Not sure why it keeps jumping like this.
Maybe we'll just use
just use yours.
Maybe I'm not going to touch the clicker. So basically, we all have a biological part, our physical body, our brain. We all have a psychological makeup. Some of us are more relaxed, others have more of an anxious temperament. We have the social element. We do much better. We're social beings. God designed us to be relying on others, to support each other. So this social element, and then we have the spiritual element. So these are kind of 4 important elements that particularly us Christians should think about. And indeed, spirituality is a very important domain, can be a strong protective factor. So strong Christians are less prone to developmental illness, because good, healthy spirituality can be a protective factor. But there are 3 other domains where we can have issues that can sink us. You mentioned, John, that you had a medical condition, things like thyroid condition, cancer, heart condition, kind of chronic organic conditions. So under the biological domain can be enough to make somebody profoundly depressed, no matter how strong of a Christian he is. If you have a very strong history of trauma, you have a very anxious temperament, from a kind of a psychological makeup, you're going to be very fragile to develop issues later on. Socially, if you're isolated, for instance, there was a very interesting study they did after Black Saturday, after the bushfires. 2009, they followed up this cohort of survivors from the bushfires. The ones that ended up developing post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and depression were mainly from the ones who were isolated divorced, separated, unemployed, homeless. The ones with a good support support circle, church, work, family, they did well. But the ones who struggled socially, so that's a very strong factor. And that's one of the ideas I would like to, again, share part of our discussion today, how important this social element is. Probably besides spirituality, one of the best things you can do is develop a good circle of friends, family, church, that are there for you when you struggle. Don't keep it in, share with them when you struggle. It's probably one of the best thing you can do to keep yourself well from a mental health point of view. So spirituality and good social support around you.
Thank you for sharing that. So going on from that, something that I'm learning myself to do is, because I am, as you probably noticed, I'm a bit of a talker.
And that's a protective.
My host laughs. So that's the truth. He knows me since I was a teenager.
But that's a protective factor. Sorry to interrupt you. Ladies talk more about their issues, so the access help better. A lot of us guys are learned to be very macho, keep it in. I'm not going to share my mental health difficulty. I'm not going to be a wuss or something. They keep it in, and then they kill themselves because they just cannot keep it together anymore.
I've heard that before as well. I think something that I'm learning to do is to actually be a good listener. Because I like to talk. I feel that, I had someone say to me, to actually ask them how they would need help, rather than me kind of already wanting to help. I've already gone ahead of them. So if someone that we know, that whether they're young or old or whatever, what will be some good things to start the conversation with them?
That's a very important element, and I'm glad we're going there, Corinne, because I think it was John who mentioned that sometimes we might say something that's not helpful, or it's stigmatizing. So first thing is checking on them, how they are going. For instance, somebody who went through very difficult things, lost their job or lost their wife or something like that. Main thing is to go check on them and say, I'm here if you need me. So offering your help. Some people from that point really want to go talk to you. Other people just want somebody to be there with them. So somebody who's been through terrible trials, they're not really into like talking or not into like preaching to them. They just want somebody to be there with them. I read about a very touching story about two guys in their 20s, tough, trady kind of guys. One lost his wife. The other one just went and lied in bed with him, holding his hand for a few hours. He just needed somebody there, so he didn't feel alone. So I think that main thing is be there for that person, and then allow that person to ask you for help. Tell them, how can I help you? Let me know. Do you want me to do something practical? Do you need some food? Do you need to buy something for you? And be careful not to preach to them. A lot of us, with good intentions, we want to go to them and say, pray to God. God will fix everything. And we know that that's not always the case. God will listen to our prayers, but doesn't mean that he'll always, let's say, heal somebody. Let's say you have a sick family member. A lot of church members are told, oh, if you have enough faith, your husband will get well. Or if you, pray and fast, everything will be fine. We cannot guarantee this. God has his plans. We can pray about that, but we always say, may your will be done, Lord.
That's right. There's blessings in the trials as well.
Exactly.
So we can't take that away.
Sometimes God heals them. Sometimes God allows them to die. I was just reading for my devotion about King Hezekiah, who was granted another 15 years of life, and then he made a fool of himself. Instead of witnessing about God to the Babylonians envoys, he went and showed off all his riches and all that. So basically, those extra 15 years were a disaster for him and basically brought dishonor to God. So sometimes it's time to go. It might be in our interest because God ultimately cares more about us making it to heaven than us being comfortable or having long life. So I think it's very important to be careful what we tell our brothers. We had a very dear friend of ours who died of cancer, of lung cancer last year. He was my age, so it was a big tragedy for my family and his other friends. And he was sharing to me how people from church went to visit him in hospital, and one said, brother, you must have done something bad, otherwise you wouldn't have cancer.
Oh, no.
I think that's the last thing people need to hear. And if you are someone that is watching, because our show actually goes, sorry to cut you off for a minute, our show actually is viewed by people who do not attend a church. if you are someone like that, that's fine. This is mental illness, like we said, it's in churches and out of churches as well. From what I'm hearing you, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all that. From what I'm hearing you say is that we shouldn't go and tell people just pray, or if your faith is not strong enough, but we should be there to listen and say, I'm here for you. How can I help you? Is that correct?
Yeah, offer your help, be there, but be careful not to preach to them, because sometimes the Bible quotes that we quote, or the advice we give, which we think is great, just pours gasoline on the fire.
It comes from a good place, but that's
you might have great intention, but you might just destroy or make the person even more trouble. So maybe don't go encourage them to pray, but offer more like practical support. I'm here. If they want to bring up spiritual questions, talk to them, but don't jump. We quite often want to give encouraging Bible verses, which quite often is not what they need to hear at that time.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I would say don't jump to spirituality. You can encourage them to pray, but more say, I'm here for you. Tell me, how can I help? If you want me to just stay here with you, I'll just stay here with you.
That's
sometimes
really
that's all
practical advice.
Practical, and let them drive.
Yeah. Sometimes we think as Christians that we need everything's got to be has to be biblical, spiritual, or whatever, but we can be practical as well. And which is actually really interesting, because it was just recently that I can't go into all the details, but somebody was saying to somebody, just pray, but we didn't offer any other advice. I mean, praying is important, I believe that, but there's some practical things we can do as well.
I think we can pray for them. We need to pray for them.
Yeah.
I think from what I'm hearing is using Christ's method. He actually met people's needs first. And that's the way we should go. So if the need is for you to just sit with someone and listen, which is, by the way, something I need to learn. But if that's the need of that person, then as someone who loves God, this is what we must do. We must sit. We must sit and listen. Very hard for me. Maybe I have to put a sticky tape over my mouth, but I'm starting to realize how important it is for them. It's not about what we want. It's what they need.
And before I forget this, because this is, again, a very important thought I want to share tonight. And I really like how a good friend of mine, who is a pastor, said, you can love Jesus and see a therapist.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be one or biopsychosocial things. We need physical support, psychological support, social support, and spirituality. It doesn't need to be one or the other. We need both. So, and for instance, when I treat somebody with depression, I always say, I know what biological things help. I know what psychological things help. I know what social things help. I know spirituality is protective. The more of the good things you do, the better you will stay to avoid mental illness, or if you get unwell, the faster you recover. So I always say, this is a range of interventions I know are helpful. The more of the good things you do, the faster you will recover.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you what about the people who are masking their mental illness? Some of them is very obvious, but if someone is already a quiet person, and they're masking it, or even if they're not quiet and all of a sudden they become quiet. So what are some of the things that we would look for that you would think they kind of things to just see, maybe there could be a possibility, maybe?
The main thing is to look for a change. If all of a sudden the person stop going to work, because one of the main thing we look at mental health is the mental health impacting on your functioning, social functioning, going out, work functioning, school functioning, not able to go to school. So quite often there's a change in how they function. So they're going out, looking after themselves. Sometimes there are a lot of teenagers, but it can happen in adults. Instead of becoming tearful when they are pressed, become more irritable. They develop what we call low frustration tolerance. So they get very snappy. There can be a sign that somebody is struggling or has even become depressed. So quite often it's subtle signs: sleep problems, loss of appetite, difficulties with going out. All of a sudden, there's a lot of mental illness called social isolation. So you feel that either you're too overwhelmed and you want to be at home in anxiety, or in depression, you're just so lethargic and tired, you just want to be left alone, kind of thing. And that's not good. We know that one of the main things in depression is to pull yourself out of going quite often what depression tells you to do is the worst thing that you want to do. So depression tells you just stay in the corner, leave me alone, don't eat, don't sleep, and it just makes the depression worse and worse. You have to push against all that. And that's why depression, you need people around you to help you. Take you out. Let's go for a walk. Walking exercise is very healthy. Let's go out, do some shopping or meet other people. Social stuff is very good. Take your medication. See your psychologist. Quite often when you're depressed, you don't do any of that because it was just can't be bothered. So that's why having a good support, friends, family, professionals, all pull you in the right direction. The recovery is much faster.
And that's like what happened to me. I wasn't sleeping. Wasn't getting hardly any sleep during the night, and that went on for months and months and months, and it just got worse. And so when you're not sleeping, you don't want to exercise, you don't want to do things. So
But going back to what you said, Corinne, indeed, sometimes people don't like talking about their mental difficulties because of the stigma, because of the lack of awareness. So, and in psychiatry, you don't have any blood tests or investigation to tell if somebody is unwell. It's more
that's so true. Yeah,
they have to share. So in psychiatry and mental health, all the assessments we do is just talking to the patient, interview, being able to elicit enough information to tell what this person is suffering from, and then proposing the appropriate treatment. So getting that information from them is what's going to tell us, are they struggling? So encouraging them to open up, because if you keep things in, if we bottle things up, we just get worse and worse. And maybe reaching to those who have this good communication, and maybe talk to your brother, your sister, what's happening. And maybe sometime those close to them can get that information, tell us what we call collateral. You may get collateral from other family members. And that sometimes can sort out what's happening with this person.
So is it all right to, thank you for that, is it all right to say, are you okay? Because you know how there's an are you okay day. So your recommendation is, if you know someone is struggling, is it okay to ask
It's always
them?
okay to ask, just don't be intrusive. Just, are you okay? And just say, I'm here. If you want to share with me, please come. And sometimes they might not tell you then, but later on I say, at least this person reach out to me. Maybe I'll go and tell them. So it's always okay to ask. Since we're talking about asking, if somebody's battling depression, is hopeless, tearful, it's always okay to ask about dark thoughts. You don't have to be a psychologist or psychiatrist to ask if somebody is battling thoughts that I'd rather not be here or I'd rather be dead. You never make somebody worse by asking that. Most people is like the elephant in the room. Oh, I can finally share how suicidal I am. So you're never going to make somebody worse by asking how they are, and you're never going to make them worse by checking, do you ever get dark thoughts? If they get dark thoughts,
okay to ask those questions.
That means they need to see a professional. That's already moderate to severe mental illness. So they need professional support if they share that kind of stuff.
Sure.
One of our viewers put a comment there about some people who are depressed can be the light of the room. So does that mean like they can put a mask, like can mask it and just try to be jovial to try and hide it?
Yeah, so there can be a personality thing. Can be people who've been depressed for a long time. The depression kind of changes, not the typical one you had at the beginning. Becomes a bit more attenuated like that. But it's a big effort to put that mask. It's very energy consuming. So by the end of the day of masking, they are completely drained. So we know it's very tiring to do that, and it doesn't help. But then again, you don't want to put your heart on the sleeve with everybody. Find some people that are safe, will not put you down, will not just preach to you or hit you over the head with the Bible. Find some safe people, find your crowd, your circle, and share with them. Don't keep it in, because if you keep it in, things just get worse. And one of the advice, for instance, we give suicidal people, don't be alone. Because when you have those dark thoughts, probably they come in waves, and a wave, you sink farther and farther down. And when you go beyond a certain point, you can act on those thoughts. So usually we say if somebody's having those dark thoughts, they shouldn't be alone. Either you take them to emergency, or you stay there with them to help them get better, and then you take them to see a professional. But yeah, it's important to not be alone when you're in one of those states when you're really struggling to keep yourself safe.
Thank you for sharing that also. I had an instance one where someone did share that they were suicidal, and then someone said we had to do a welfare check, and I didn't know, I wasn't aware that such a thing existed. So if you ever have someone that you think you're concerned and has voiced to you, I guess that's the intention. And then, so you in triple O, is that right, Dr.
Can I ask our colleagues to Can we skip a bit to the mental health pyramid? Because that's again a very important message. It's a bit of a staged approach how to get help depending on where you are in your mental health difficulties. So if you look at this mental health pyramid, everything in mental health these days on a spectrum from normal to very, very unwell. Somebody being very unwell, let's say very suicidal. So we all become a bit anxious or sad when something bad happens, but then we recover.
Yeah.
But sometimes people develop exaggerated anxiety or exaggerated sadness. All of a sudden, that's kind of what we call that early warning sign, early warning stage, or burnout when they're struggling. There are some difficulties, but they're still able to go to work. They're still functioning, but you can tell something is not right. That's where we as a church have a role to play. So that's where informal supports, church family, go out to them, check on them. Are you okay? How are you going? Let's go out for a drink. Let's go do something fun together. That's when we can really provide support and be that social circle that can really help somebody. Because if somebody doesn't get help and the pressure or the stress continues, they'll move on to the other stage.
To the yellow section?
Yellow section where it says clinical anxiety. Clinical means these mental health difficulties have gotten to the point where you're not functioning. It means you cannot go to work, you're completely lethargic or super anxious. You cannot go out to do shopping. You're isolated. You're not looking after yourself. You're smelling because having a shower becomes all of a sudden a super complicated thing for somebody with severe depression. So when you're reaching in that stage that somebody is obviously not functioning in society the way they were, that's what we call clinical stage. That's where they need mental health professionals. So that's where just church is not enough. So these are the people that we're going to hurt if you tell them don't see a psychologist, just pray. These are the people that we hurt because they will just get worse and worse.
I hear you.
So these are the ones you're going to say, go see your GP. And we'll talk a bit about kind of how to get help. Go see your GP. The GP will probably refer you to a psychologist, get help. If you're not going to get help, things will go to the next stage, high risk. That's when somebody becomes very suicidal, act on those gestures. We talked about men who keep it together, keep it in. You probably saw all these ex-footballers or ex-boxers who have lots of mental health issues, but they don't open up about that, and they get so overwhelmed. Either they start using substances, or they just kill themselves and they drive the car into a tree, or they hang themselves. That's because they didn't get help at the right time, or sometimes the mate says, "Oh, come on, mate, you're okay, you'll be fine," instead of encouraging to get help. So that's why there's a lot of conversation now, particularly in the sports arena. I notice sportsmen who battle mental illness encourage everybody. If you're struggling, it's not a matter of weakness. Don't be embarrassed. See your GP, see a psychologist, see a therapist, get help. So that's why our role is there when somebody struggles, but before they get obviously very unwell and not functioning. And then in the high risk, that's when they need to see urgent services. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is kind of how accessing mental health is designed. So for somebody, let's say in the middle tier, the yellow tier, the ones that need mental health support, first thing you need to see your GP. The GP can do an assessment. If the GP feels that you're very depressed, he might even start an antidepressant for you right away. If not, he will refer you to a tier 2 mental health professional, private psychologist, or sometimes private psychiatrist if somebody is really struggling with mental health. And most people in this tier 2, psychologists, counselors, starting on medication, most people, 90% of people get better with this tier 2. The ones who have more severe mental illness or become acutely suicidal end up in tier 3. That's where I work, public mental health services, where they might need to be admitted to hospital, might need combinations of medication, might need intense therapy. So that's kind of the progression from how to access mental health. So always see your GP first, and the GP will guide you where to go next. If we can go to the next slide, please. What to do if somebody is at the top, acutely suicidal. That's not the time to say, "Oh, how are you? I'll check on you tomorrow." And again, that's something that we mental health professionals kind of assess. Is this suicidal risk acute? Is somebody we need to put in hospital? Or is somebody who's been suicidal for a long time and they need more support? So, but it's not something that a decision that the church member should do. So a church member should say, have you called Lifeline? There's these 24-hour numbers where these people can call and get support right away.
We've got that number listed there. It's 131114 for adults.
For adults, and there's a kids
and
helpline.
for children, there's a 1-800 number as well. So
But if somebody is acutely suicidal, now talks about, I want to hurt myself,
like that person did,
then you don't sit on that. You take them straight to emergency, either call an ambulance and get the ambulance, take them to emergency, or you drive them. If you're a family member, you drive them to emergency so they can get immediate support. If you don't do that, we lost so many people who followed through on those suicidal thoughts. So that's why it's very important. It's always okay to ask, but if they say, I am suicidal, make sure that they get mental health support, because usually somebody having suicidal thought, it's a sign of severe mental illness that needs immediate support. So take this seriously. It's okay to ask. Don't panic about that. But if you hear that something concerning, encourage them either to see the GP or if it's acute, if they're obviously very suicidal, straight to emergency, closest emergency department you go.
So from what I hear you say is, don't get to the red section or even the clinical stage. Go and talk to your GP, get some help. I love the fact that you talked about how we exercise the muscles and how we can exercise the muscles of the brain as well to help it work for us. The limbic system.
The limbic system, and this brings us to the video we saw at the beginning.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up. So Dr. Dan Siegel, who's a famous psychiatrist from the States, talked about how we have kind of this spinal cord, which is where our respiration, circulations, and that keeps us alive. Then we have what we call the limbic system, the emotional brain. So that's our emotions. And then we have our cortex, our thinking part. So it's this dualism between emotions and thoughts. Emotions, quite often, we are driven by emotions, but emotions are not very predictable and can kind of get us to do bad things. So that's why we always talk about put your thinking cap on in therapy whenever I see a patient. That let's think a bit, because emotions are strong and quite often drive us. Let's slow down. Let's put our thinking cap on.
Thinking cap.
Yeah, now I just,
cap.
And let's bring something in. Quite often emotions get us to see things in a very dark way. We just see the bad things, don't see the good things. If you start thinking and do a pros and cons analysis, it's going to say, yeah, maybe I did bad at that exam, but actually I did very well at the other. So you restore the balance, bring more objectivity to the assessment of the situation, and you realize actually it's not so bad. I can still keep going with life. I shouldn't end my life kind of thing. Sometimes it can really help. So learning to use your thinking and not just let emotions drive you. For instance, if you look at young people, our emotional brain develops by the time we're adolescents. By the time we're 12, 13, we have very strong emotions. But your thinking brain, particularly the frontal lobe, where we have all the decisions, spirituality, planning, only matures when you reach 25. Because of that, between the age of 15 and 25, suicide is first or second cause of death in young people, because they have all these intense emotions, but they don't have the self-control. Because the thinking is the one that controls the emotions. So that's a very vulnerable period of time. And that's where I come and help some of these people who have very intense emotions, but they don't know how to control them and develop their thinking and capacity to regulate their emotions using their thinking.
Wow.
Well, we could be talking with you all night.
All night.
Unfortunately, we don't have all night. We want to finish on a positive end. We talked about remaining connected within a family, a circle. We talked about Dr. Horatio talked about don't share things, don't bottle up things. We talked about, I think we touched on physical exercise as well. Do you want to close off by talking about the breathing and the relax and the focus? And
and
something positive that
just
we can
want
all
to share
do.
with our audience that there is a material that I'm hoping we can share with others, which is a bit of a summary of things to do, what to do to keep yourself well mentally, how to help others in church. So I think it's a bit of a summary of what we discussed today.
Yeah, sure.
Hoping that we
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah.
After the program, we'll put a link to some of this material. So we've got quite a few pages of material. We've got quite a few pages of material there. We'll save that the PDF online, and we'll send you a link, or we'll post up a link to this program, to these notes on the program link. So,
but just a quick summary, because I know we're running out of time.
I'm just curious about that.
So breathing, I'll get there, but just to summarize, social is very important. So having a social circle is the number one thing you can do. That along with spirituality, having a good connection with the body of believers, with God, praying, studying your Bible.
Yeah.
These are two very important things. For From a biological point of view, you mentioned lifestyle. Exercise reduces your risk of depression by 25%. A healthy plant-based diet reduces your risk of depression by 30%.
Wow.
So if you eat healthy, exercise regularly, you drop your risk of depression by 50%.
Wow.
So lifestyle is very important. And then there are certain situations when you, for instance, you're very overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff happens. You feel panicky. Some people even have panic attacks.
Yeah.
Somehow calming down our body
Yeah.
helps our brain relax, because we're all connected. Brain, body, emotion. So everything is interconnected. So if you affect, for instance, in cognitive behavior therapy, you focus on thinking and behavior to change your emotions, because they are all connected. So same thing with breathing. We know that by what we do in breathing, we do deep and control breaths. So deep are not very fast. Deep and controlled. Usually we say breathe in for 4 beats, hold it 4 beats, breathe out for 4 beats, hold it for 4 beats. That's the best thing you can do when you're overwhelmed, panicky.
Yeah.
But you don't do it 1, 2, 3 times. You do it 10, 15, 20 times.
Just keep going.
Because nothing works better than that in anxiety and panic. So it's a very good strategy to practice and get better at.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. That's easy things that we can
And the
do.
Material for Me has an app that you can use on the phone to kind of just walk through those steps.
Yeah.
And learn to manage high intensity,
That's
high anxiety
fantastic.
moments.
It's interesting how things work. Just the last couple of weeks at work, we've actually done a short, what do you call it, lesson or course on mindfulness and the breathing and things like that. And sometimes I think people think about mindlessness, when you take all your thoughts out, but in this course they're actually talking about being mindful and in the moment, and how you're breathing and thinking about your thoughts, and the breathing is associated with that. It was really interesting. So
because again, people put everything in a basket. They don't know, because there are different kinds of meditation. There's mindfulness meditation. There's nothing spooky or
that's
pagan. Is just focusing on the here and now.
Yes,
rather
correct.
than allowing your thoughts to worry in the
Right.
past, to worry about the future.
Yeah.
But there are types of meditation, transcendental meditation. That's the one that's not very good, because you just focus on a mantra. God is loving. God is loving. And you
That's
just kind of
something
keep saying it.
So
We don't encourage that, because that kind of puts you into
absolutely.
trance, almost sleep state. But mindfulness meditation can be very good. So it's always be
Absolutely.
balanced. You can love Jesus and see a therapist.
So-
don't be black and white.
Yeah.
Be balanced, be wise.
Yeah.
Doctor, it's
And be
been
healthy.
great.
And be healthy.
It's been great having you.
Yeah.
And
My pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you
we
so much.
we could have gone on for hours,
Oh,
but
good.
look, we might get you back another time.
My pleasure. Anytime.
To cover anything that we may have missed. Hope so. And is there any last words that you'd like to say to the audience? They may be hearing, they may be listening live tonight, or they might be watching at another time. Is there just something, last few words that you'd like to say to them?
I think it's kind of what we ended up on, because part of probably a big portion of your audience is Christian, and we have this tendency to say, just pray about it. If you pray and fast, everything will be fine. Pray and fast, but also see a professional. If you're at the stage where you're really struggling and you're not going out, not functioning. If you're suicidal, we see people in the Bible that became suicidal, though they were strong believers. It can happen. Don't just be black and white, as sometimes we have a tendency to be. Be biopsychosocial, spiritual. Look after your body, lifestyle. See a therapist if needed. Have a good support circle and pray to God. The more of these 4 things you do, the better you'll be at preventing mental illness, or if God forbid you develop one, recover faster and stay well afterwards.
Yeah, that's what we want. Thank you so much. I have learned so much tonight, and I pray you as an audience have as well. Dr. Horatio talked about a few things, physical exercise. This, if you are interested, or if you know someone, we are in a process in a couple of months to run such a program to help. Like if we're saying 1 in 2 people have it, mental illness, we will be running a program not just for adults, but also for
children
and adolescents. So we'll be running them in conjunction, the adults and the children, 2 separate lots. But if you know of someone, please reach out to us. We can give you some more information, because there is hope. There is hope, and this is why we wanted to share all this, because this is the reality of life, and there's hope that you can get better. So please reach out to us, and we'll let you know about this. Only 1 hour a week, not much. And my co-host there is the one that's going to be involved in that. So I want to encourage you, if you know someone, to let them know, and we'll put you in touch with Johnny.
Yep, sure. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Horatio.
Thank you.
pleasure.
Really
Thanks, sir.
appreciate it.
Mm.
And
Good to be here.
for the viewers, we haven't finished our program. Don't go away. And we've still got our regular segments as well. And we're going to go to a musical item now that was done by some of our team members. And
It's our first video.
it's our first
It's our
in-house.
first in-house video. Go on.
So
Director, do you want to say who directed it?
you can, you control, you did it.
Well,
Well.
I don't know how to say. It was directed by Susan Isaac and Danubia and Bernadette. Two siblings were our first ones to be involved in that video, and I was a co-director. I have to say, Johnny, love doing the video with them. Excellent bunch of young adults that there's a big future for them. So the song is called Grace by Laura Story. The words are so beautiful. Thank you guys for putting that together, and we hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
My heart is so proud, my mind is so unfocused. I see the things you do through me as great things I have done. And now you gently break me, then lovingly you take me and hold me as my Father and mold me as my Maker. I ask you, how many times will you pick me up when I keep on letting you down? And each time I will fall short of your glory, how far will forgiveness abound? And you answer, my child, I love you. And as long as you're seeking my face, you'll walk in the power of my daily sufficient grace. At times I may grow weak and feel a bit discouraged, knowing that someone somewhere could do a better job. For who am I to serve you? I know I don't deserve you, and that's the part that burns in my heart and keeps me hanging on. I ask you, how many times will you pick me up when I keep on letting you down? And each time I will fall short of your glory, how far will forgiveness abound? And you answer, my child, I love you. And as long as you're seeking my face, you'll walk in the power of my daily sufficient grace. You are so patient with me, Lord. As I walk with you, I'm learning what your grace really means. The price that I could never pay was paid at Calvary. So instead of trying to repay you, I'm learning to simply obey you by giving up my life to you. sufficient grace.
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it.
Me too.
I
Me
loved
too.
it. What a great job.
What a great job. Thank you, Susan, Danubia, and Bernadette, and
Bernadette.
Aaliyah as well, who helped in the background.
Mm.
And I love the words where it says, at times I may grow weak and feel a bit discouraged. That's what our topic was today, but it says, and you answer me, and you answer my child, I love you. Isn't that lovely that God says that? And by the way, I also want to we're talking about Bernadette and Danubia, and Jonathan is one of the people also who helps us in the background there. We want to say our deepest sympathy to you, to your family. We thank you for still doing what you do, even though you're going through a loss in the family. May God bless you.
Yeah. Amen.
Johnny, what's next?
Yeah, we got our book review by Joshua, and it's a very short review, but it's a really interesting one. So let's have a look at that.
Welcome back to Living Books. I'm Josh, here with you to share some more awesome book recommendations. Now, I want to ask a question. How do you find devotional books? Do you love them? Do you not? I don't know. I find them really hit or miss, with most of them being a miss for me. But I've come across this book that I just couldn't put down. This one's called What If Jesus Was Serious by Skye Jitani. And it's built around this simple yet confronting question. What if Jesus actually meant what he said on the Sermon on the Mount? Not just some ideas, not just some poetry, but a real vision of how his followers are meant to live life. That is what this simple book is. Each chapter or each sort of thing is just a couple pages, and it's just a simple reflection from Jesus' teaching on the Sermon on the Mount. And it's paired with a sort of doodle illustration that often speaks louder than the words themselves, and invites the reader to just simply sit and to reflect on Jesus' teachings. What makes it so effective is its simplicity. Jitani doesn't overload you with explanations or theology. He just simply places Jesus' words in front of you and lets that do the work. The illustrations often expose the ways we quietly soften Jesus' teachings or explain it away to make it feel more manageable. Now, there's no rush in this book, no pressure to move on quickly. It just invites you to slow down, to reflect, and to ask some really honest questions about how seriously you take Jesus, especially when his words feel uncomfortable or impractical. It actually made me realize how easy it is for us to admire Jesus' teachings, but not actually put them into practice in our day-to-day life. That's what I love about this book. It invites us to think about Jesus' words, but how we can live it out here in the 21st century. So as I sit down and think, who should read this? Man, everybody. If you're looking for a devotional that's simple, beautiful, illustrated, and deeply challenging, then here's your book. It's great for personal reflection, but it could also be used for a little group study to go through on the Sermon on the Mount, to help you reflect, to help your church reflect on Jesus' words and how you can live them out. So happy reading.
Corinne, that was really interesting about that book. You know what I really like about this book and what Josh is talking about is sometimes we try to overcomplicate things, overcomplicate scripture, overcomplicate what Jesus is trying to say, and sometimes we try to dig in so much that we actually lose the primary message or the essence of the message.
Yeah, I agree.
And so this book highlights how when Jesus talks about Sermon on the Mount, so when Jesus spoke about it was so simple and he reached at everybody's level. And so yeah, look, this great book.
It sounds like a nice devotional
Yeah.
to start the new year. And I love simple stuff, as you know. I always think if a child can't understand it, we shouldn't be explaining it because, because everybody has got different levels, and I love simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank
And
you, Pastor Josh.
Yeah, and as Josh says, that it's an easy read, and really gets us back to basics on what Jesus spoke about.
Yeah.
And folks, we're going to have our recipe now. And but before we go to that recipe, we just want to say another condolences, and is for Angela, who does our recipes for Living News each time. And actually, Angela's mother, Paula, who was Angela's right-hand person that helped her do all the recipes that we've done, that's been done by Angela. Paula's been there helping her, and also with the catering business that Angela's got, Paula's there behind her as well.
Yeah.
And Paula recently passed away, and we attended her funeral this week. And so we just wanted to offer our condolences to you, Angela, and to Max, and to Ace, and to the rest of the family. And just want to thank you again for all the great work that you and your family have done for Living News, and for all our guests and all our viewers.
Amen.
So, and this is a really good, and we didn't have a sample today because I think we would have got it all over us by the time we try to eat it. So have a look at it. It's a really good stir through or stir fry
vegetable salad.
Yeah, stir fry vegetable salad. Really good. Let's have a look at that. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back. We are going to make a stir fry type salad. So here we've got wombok leaves, which have been cleaned and washed, and that's what we're going to put our salads into. We've got some chopped up wombok here, and just a selection of nuts, so cashew nuts and some walnuts for protein. We've got some capsicum, garlic, onion, ginger. We've also got some broccoli, some bok choy, or pak choy, and some choy sum. So it's a bit of a combination of flavors. So some Asian flavors in there. We're going to use the vegan mushroom sauce, again with some soy sauce and some sesame seeds. So before we start with the vegetables, we're going to lightly fry off the nuts in the frying pan. So just in a hot pan. You don't have to add any oils because there's already natural oils within the nuts. So we just want to make sure that the frying pan is nice and hot. So you just want to toss your nuts in the frying pan until they're nice and golden. The choy sum and the pak choy doesn't take long. What we're going to do with that is we're going to put it in some boiling or simmering water, and it's just blanching it till it becomes soft, but you don't want it to completely shrivel up. So it's only maybe 30 seconds to a minute that you would have that inside your hot frying pan, which you'll see soon. So just pop your nuts there. We're going to add the water to the frying pan and just bring it to a light simmer. We're going to put our vegetable that will take the longest to cook. So we're going to start off with the broccoli first. And with the vegetables, you just want to bring it to a nice tender consistency. You don't want it too soft. You don't want it too crunchy. You just want it, just right. Once your broccoli is cooked, what you can do is put it in an ice bath. Then it will maintain the green vibrancy. Otherwise, if you don't mind it going for like a little bit brown, that's fine too. There's but the greenness in there just shows that we haven't completely cooked out all the nutrition in the vegetables. one of the reasons why we don't, fully cook it to wilting stage. So we're going to add the pak choy and the choy sum to the water. So 1 to 2 minutes is all it really needs, and that's what you'll get once it's done. So we're just going to put that to the side, and now we're going to add our capsicum. So your capsicum should still have a firmness to it. So you don't want to completely cook it to wilt. You still want a bit of crunch with that capsicum. Again, we don't want to be boiling or cooking out all the nutrients from the actual vegetable. As much color we can keep, the better. So with the water, we don't want to dispose of it yet. That'll help with our sauce. We need about a cup, maybe a cup to a cup and a half. So reserve that to the side. And now we're going to lastly just fry off our cabbage that we have here. Okay, so the cabbage is slightly wilted, so there's still a bit of crunch in there, and we're just gonna put this down as a base. And with this recipe, we've used about half a wombok cabbage. And now we're going to make our sauce. So our water from before, our sesame oil, our garlic and ginger. We'll add the onion, garlic and ginger first. For this, we've just sliced the onions long. And that was half an onion, and then about a thumb piece of ginger. And around 2 to 3 cloves of garlic as well. So once the onions are translucent, that's when it'll be ready to add in the water and the sauce. And you can at this point add around a tablespoon of maple syrup or a tablespoon of brown sugar, or plain sugar is fine. And about a tablespoon of sesame oil. So that's what our sauce will look like. If you want it a little bit thicker, you can add perhaps a teaspoon of corn flour, just to thicken that up a little. So to the sauce, I'm going to add the capsicum. And the other Asian greens. And you just want to toss that around inside the sauce, just so it coats everything nice and evenly. So it's all evenly coated inside that sauce, and if you can see all the colors inside that frying pan, looks really good, smells great, and then you can start assembling your salad boat. So it's a great way to get some nice wholesome vegetables. And now we're just going to sprinkle the nuts that we roasted earlier on the frying pan. Some sesame seeds. And then some spring onions. And just pour that juice over each one. And there you go. You can garnish with some coriander as well. But those are our stir-fry vegetable salad for any occasion. Thank you.
Oh, Corinne,
Yum.
that's why we didn't have it live tonight in the studio, because there would have been sauce everywhere, all over us. So, but I loved it. You know what I really liked about that recipe is the
What did you
color.
like?
The color and the crispiness, the freshness
the
of
nuts, the protein,
it.
Look
I really
beautiful.
love that.
She always comes up with great recipes, huh?
Really good.
And the presentation of the leaf as well. Love it.
Really good. Well done, Angela. And
Thank you. Beautiful.
and thanks again. And again, our condolences to you and the family. And so that's the end of our show tonight, Corinne.
Yep.
What amazing and
Great show.
fantastic.
Thank
And
you, Johnny.
look, I think speaking to Dr. Horatio, we will bring him back another time. The next few episodes are already booked with our special guests. So, but we'll work something when we can bring Dr. Horatio back, and he can continue part 2. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for the comments as well. Sorry we couldn't put all the comments on tonight, but we really appreciate it. It's very encouraging to know that people are interacting with us. So thank you for those who have commented. And we say goodbye.
We do. Thank you very much. Don't forget to tune in again next month on the 27th of February.
Another great show.
Yep.
Until then, take care.
Take care. God bless you, everyone.
Bye.